We at Hoxton are a company that are full of subject experts, regional experts, technical experts, highly experienced departmental leaders. It's always been very important to me since day one that the rest of the world knows that this isn't just chrisball.com.
Gone are the days of saying, come out to Dubai and we'll fly you out, and they chuck a yellow pages at you and say, get on with it.
Well, that's how I started. That's how I started. I think that's when the rest of the world really woke up and looked at Dubai and thought, wow, that life over there looks different to everywhere else on the planet.
Tell us a little bit about the early days then, the early days of your Hoxton life.
I need to get my new advisors that I'm about to hire, I need to get them busy, and I need these guys to have people to sit in front of, and that was my challenge.
What kind of budget do you manage when it comes to, say, the paid advertising?
We're spending about 20,000 sterling a week.
The beautiful thing that you're doing at Hoxton is
It's now very clear to everyone, I think, that tech is the centre point of what we do.
because I think in the back of the mind there's a romance to wanting to go abroad.
You're taking that journey overseas, immediately all the balls in life are thrown in the air, and you've got to start juggling pretty quickly. I get excited about that. I like talking about it because I've lived it, for 20 years.
There has definitely been innovation from the start. Chris does strike me as one of those people that sees into the future quite well.
Chris has that long-term vision. Frustratingly, he's almost always right as well. If I was to label our business with one word, I would say
Alan, thanks so much for joining today on the Hoxton Life. This is, of course, your life, your journey, what it's been like working for Hoxton Wealth over in the international space, and really a little bit also about your background and how you actually got into Hoxton, because I think that's super interesting as well. But thanks so much for joining me. What do you think of the studio?
I think it's amazing. I think it's an incredible view. Yeah, I think it's a perspective I don't often see on Dubai, actually. And looking down the golf course, which I never play on, but it looks beautiful and green. So,
Hey, from a marketing perspective, it's Instagrammable, it's social media friendly.
definitely ticks those boxes, doesn't it? Yeah, perfect. No, good choice.
I think the city in general is like that though, isn't it?
It's the centre of Instagram, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's one thing I observed really carefully when I was here during lockdown. I think that's when the world really noticed Dubai, because here in Dubai we came out of lockdown quite quickly, and a lot of people were in other countries seeing Dubai online, seeing Instagram influencers photographing themselves on the beach and everything in Dubai. I think that's when the rest of the world really woke up and looked at Dubai and thought, wow, that life over there looks different to everywhere else on the planet. Certainly in the UK, I think that was true.
I think so many people in the UK during lockdown pivoted. How many teachers left the teaching profession when all of a sudden they realised, oh my God, I don't have to go into a school and work ridiculous hours. There's so many teachers. And in financial planning, actually, I think teachers make great financial planners, and a lot of them pivoted into financial planning. It's a great area to draw those much needed new financial planners into the financial planning community.
Yeah. Our industry pivoted massively then as well, because obviously, like a lot of other industries, we pivoted to dealing with people not in a face-to-face environment quite so frequently, and everything pivoted to dealing with video calls and conferencing for client meetings. Actually, we were ahead of the curve on that. I mean, we were doing that right from the get-go anyway for efficiencies purposes, but we were vindicated by making that move 2 years later when all the other companies in our industry were doing it by force, actually. But we were... When we were all sent home to work from home, it was a very natural transition because we were all doing Teams calls all day anyway. So that was quite helpful, actually.
Which you would do, you're based in Dubai, you're in the centre, you've got Australia, we've got clients from the US, we've got clients from Europe, UK, South Africa. It is a perfect place to be able to deal with those types of clients. And as you said, definitely ahead of the curve, because not many companies in the UK were using video, and they really did have to pivot during that period. But I knew you guys from the very, very beginning, and I knew that you were doing things on a video basis. It was business as usual, right? Yeah,
business as usual. More efficient for us as a business, more efficient for the client. We're dealing with busy people. We're a busy company full of busy people as well. And if the client doesn't have to get in their car and drive to a coffee shop to have that meeting, and they can do it from their desk at work or from their home, massively more efficient for everyone involved.
Fantastic. Also, congratulations on all the hard work you and the team have done on the brand launch.
Thanks very much.
Hoxton Wealth, what a wonderful time for me to join as well and to see that. And I think you guys have done such an amazing job, and it's really made the brand stand out. I prefer Hoxton Wealth to Hoxton Capital Management.
Yeah.
It feels like that wealth tech company. It feels like we're an international wealth manager. And I love that.
It does. It feels very much in line with the company that we've become. I think we've moved and evolved very quickly in 6 years, and I think really what this rebrand is about is us bringing the look and feel and the label we put on the business up into parity with the company that we've become.
Yeah.
I think the company is moving too fast for the brand and the identity. Almost, it almost sort of overtaken the growth of that.
I'm 100% behind you. You definitely outgrew the brand, because I was really surprised. I hadn't come over to Dubai, I hadn't seen the business, and in my head, my perception of what it was, based on what the brand was looking like at the time, completely different.
Yep.
So as the brand launch was taking place, it was almost one of those conversations I had with Chris. It was like, are you changing the website or anything like that? And it's like, yeah, that's in order.
Yep.
And then I got a little sneaky look behind the scenes, and I thought, ooh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And what I love about it as well is the Wealth Flow app. So the great app that we're building here at Hoxton Wealth and continuing to put energy and effort into to get that in the pockets of 1 million people, to give them that access to free financial education and support. I think that's amazing. So I think it ties in beautifully with the Wealth app as well. And like we said, that wealth tech feel.
Yes. Yeah, it brings it all together.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're really proud of that piece of tech. I was involved in the very early stages of that from a development and planning stage, but it's become something that we're really proud of, and the outside world is noticing now. We're getting great feedback from the clients and the value it's adding for their visibility of their forward-moving planning, and it's one of many aspects of our business that I think does make us, it does separate us a little bit from some of the other businesses that are out there right now.
I think going for 6 years, there has definitely been innovation from the start. Chris does strike me as one of those people that sees into the future quite well. He does predict the future quite well, but also he's willing to put that energy and effort into the tech, whether it's be the proprietary systems that we use like the Matrix, to make that multi-jurisdiction advice easier and better for financial planners. So tech built by financial planners, that's a big one, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I think that's so important, because there's off-the-shelf ones aren't exactly brilliant. Exactly,
yeah, it's a very big thing, and you're right. Chris has that long-term vision. Frustratingly, he's almost always right as well. He has that long-term vision, and the tech commitment was there from day one. Even as a startup of half a dozen people, we talked right from the get-go about having that element to our business. We were using, when I walked in the door, we were using a proprietary out-of-the-box CRM, Microsoft-based piece of software, but it wasn't fit for what we needed to do. It didn't tick the bespoke boxes that we needed it to tick for our processes for our clients. So we knew we wanted to build something of our own. We knew it wouldn't be easy, but we committed to doing that very, very quickly, and we started it very, very quickly as well, much to everyone's surprise, I think. But here we are today, and we've got the intrinsic value that our tech brings to our business is really something, actually. And a lot of companies look at what we've done with real quite envy, I think.
I think so, 100%.
Yeah,
definitely in international space. I know SJP have been out here, and the whispers that I hear is they're struggling a little bit.
Really, yeah.
And I think perhaps that technology is a part of it.
Yeah, I think so. I think for us, it's a centre point, isn't it, of our offering in general. We've got this to a place now where, again, we're being noticed for this now. We've got a modern offering in what is a very traditional industry, really, and the tech as a centre point of that is really the manifestation of that persona. And we're now, because it's a living, breathing thing, and with the new branding, we're now bringing that tech to the center point of the visuals on the website and a lot of our content pieces and everything. And now, rather than being an old-fashioned IFA that has this tech tool that they're using on the side, it's now very clear to everyone, I think, that tech is the center point of what we do. And from a back office and from a client-facing perspective, that's how we work. Everything goes through it.
I love the vision of one-day client. Getting a client onboarded, done and dusted within 1 day. I think that's an amazing and achievable goal.
Achievable for sure. Yeah. Challenging one because from my department, you look at it from a perspective of getting somebody from somewhere out there on the web, having not engaged with us yet. You're getting them from there to onboarding themselves as a potential client in a very short space of time, and that's doable. It's not something we're doing right now, but we know it's what a lot of customers want. Yeah, they want now. and they want to serve themselves as far down that line as they possibly can.
Yeah. So from the get-go, 6 years ago, to 2 billion under management, it was always a marketing strategy.
Very much.
Tell us a little bit about the early days then, the early days of your Hoxton life.
At Hoxton, yeah, absolutely. So when I joined the business, really the business was Chris and Chris's client base and his support team around him. That was the foundation of him starting the business in the first place, having got his personal book of clients to that point. And he brought me in knowing that he wanted to start building a team of financial planners around him to grow out the client base. And he knew that he would need to provide those people with opportunities to bring their own clients on. And that means marketing, it means opportunity generation. And he'd seen what I'd been doing at my previous company and my ability to do that. So I came in with a remit of, right, I need to get my new advisors that I'm about to hire, I need to get them busy, and I need these guys to have people to sit in front of. And that was my challenge. And we did that very quickly, using selected marketing methods and opportunity generation methods that do enable you to do that quickly. And I'm talking mainly about the paid space, where you get campaigns running quickly and you can get volume going quickly. And that's something that I'd done to very high volume at my previous firm. And we got going. We got busy very quickly. And I really, like, startups turn me on. I really like startup situations. I love the energy that brings. And I love being thrust into a situation where you've just got to scrap a little bit.
Yeah.
I love that. And Chris loves that as well. And today, even though we're a company of 300 people, 6 years down the line, I think we still have that mentality as a business. I think we still have very much that famous day one mentality throughout the business.
When you're in that space as a marketer and you're managing a budget, and more often than not quite a high budget.
Yeah.
I mean, just briefly, just tell us what kind of budget do you manage when it comes to, say, the paid advertising? So
today we're spending about 20,000 sterling a week, something like that on our budget. It fluctuates seasonally with seasonality and so forth, but that's more or less what we're spending on paid media, and that's not including any of the costs that go into creating the assets in the first place or anything else around it. So departmentally, I'm responsible for a fairly big outlay on the balance sheet. That's for sure, which comes with its own pressure and its own challenges, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that I've sometimes worry about, because I've always run my own business, is that fear of failure. It's like I'm encouraged to try things new here, and I want to try things new, because, you know what, deep down in my heart, that's who I am. I love trying things new.
Yeah.
I like failing forward. I like learning from mistakes. But there is also sometimes that creeping fear of failure that comes in, that worry that you might, oh shit, have I done that wrong, or am I going to do it differently? Yeah. But I'm not getting that vibe here. It is, let's test it. Let's see if it works. Let's try it. Yeah. And if it works, then great. If it doesn't, so what? We'll learn from it and we'll pivot in a different direction. Yeah. And I think it suits me massively that someone isn't like on you, like rah 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 rah. You know, you've got to do it this way, or this is the process, and we're following this. Yeah. I like the playfulness of it, and I learn from play. And where I've come into the business to get stuck into social media, for example, and that was an area of the business that, you know, the strength was really through pay for. Yep. It was through PR, and we'll talk about that in a bit more detail in a minute. So, but I'm coming into an environment and I'm looking at it from the outside, looking in, thinking, well, what am I going to do to market this business? How am I going to talk about it? How can I get it in front of the right people? Where can I help get more people using the app? And for me, it's exciting in that respect, because it's like walking into a playground. Now, not all financial planning companies are playgrounds, believe it or not. Some of them are really, really hard to even get them to understand the power of LinkedIn, for instance, right? Social marketing. But here there seems to be a willingness and a welcome. The very fact Chris took me on as a head of creative and said, look, just come on in, be creative, add some value where you can, come into these meetings, have these conversations. Where do you think we can do things differently? For me, it's been like amazing. Like, it's been really, really valuable. And being integrated now into the marketing team as well, I've never had that. I've always been me, myself, and I. So coming in and now working alongside you, it does feel like that yin and yang. You know, your strength is what you've done is I've never done it, and my strength is what I'm doing around the social. Yep. So coming together and the team that we're building, we've just hired a new social media manager, haven't we? Tell us about the rest of the team that we've got in marketing, because I'm excited about collaborating?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we have a team of what will be 10 people very shortly. So alongside the two of us, I've got a head of digital marketing who really sits on top of everything that sits in our online space, and chiefly that means owning the website and all of the optimization of that. So that's Matt. And then we have my senior graphic designer, Natasha, who's the custodian of the brand, and she's been the absolute Trojan workhorse of the last few months with the brand work that we've done, and that's been largely her work in house. Then I've got a performance marketer who she sits on all of the paid campaign channels. We've just hired a new content marketing manager, and we've got a social media manager now in the team. And then I've got a technical guy who sits on the back end of the website and does all the nuts and bolts and complicated coding stuff that no one else knows how to do. And so we've got a team of specialists there, and I really believe, just coming back briefly to the point you made earlier on, I think when you are trying to go to agencies to do your fairly high scale marketing activity, unless you're very lucky, you don't strike upon an agency who knows financial services very, very well, and it's very difficult to really help them understand the nuances of financial services and how things need to resonate and how people respond to it. I came from a position where I was dealing with clients directly, and I feel I understand that very, very well, and that holds me in very good stead to be able to guide my team on what we're trying to convey and how it's going to be received by the consumer. And I've always believed that in-house is the way to go. And we'll continue to build that team out as we need to.
That expertise.
Yeah.
Because you keep the expertise, you keep the knowledge in-house.
Yeah.
There's something more frustrating when you do go out to like a marketing agency. You've got to try to find the right one. Then you've got to educate them. You almost want them to come to the table and say, "This, I know it, and I'm going to tell you." I've done that a little bit with Financial Planner Life Studios. I'm working with the PFS, for example, working with legal in general. I know podcasting, and I know their audience, which is financial planners. So whenever I go in now, I can actually consult on it, and you can just tell straight away how much quicker, how much more consultative I am, and how much more challenging I am to their thoughts and theories.
Yeah.
And I can kind of educate them, because also as well, coming from like a recruitment background, for me, I had a complete look at the market. So I knew who were doing things right, who were doing things wrong, what works, what doesn't work, what candidates are interested in when it comes to, from the outside looking in, the shop window.
Yeah.
I've always expressed it. Your shop window looks shit, or your shop window looks really, really interesting. You're going to walk into the shop if it creates curiosity, if it creates intrigue.
Yes. Yeah.
And some of the best brands in the world have the best shop fronts, whether that's on an advert on television, whether that's some adverts that are out on Instagram, whether they're popping up in magazines or whatever. And it's like, what are people doing to work on that shop front? What are we doing to actually get that done? And we're doing a very good job on that. And I think as I'm coming in, again, that's the opportunity that I'm seeing, is like, how can I enhance that on a social strategy?
Yeah, and you're joining us at a really, really exciting, interesting time. We've gone, in that 6 years, we've gone from a company that no one's ever heard of, trying desperately to punch above their weight, really, and be noticed and be seen as a peer of companies much larger and more successful than us, to a point now that really we are getting noticed. Our brand build and our status as a business is chalk and cheese with what it was even 4 or 5 years ago, and we're getting noticed because we've grown quickly. We're getting noticed because we know what we're talking about. We're a company full of people who know what they're talking about and don't mind talking about it. We're quite happy to let people into how we do our job. And we're doing things as well with the freshness. The tech is part of that, but also I think the whole ethos of the business is to approach financial advice in a slightly more modern way, and in a fresh way and more engaging way. You're a big part of that now with what you're doing. And I think that's really appealing, and it's fairly unique as well in the marketplace, and we're really seeing an interest build in that.
Bringing to life the people that work within a business, for me, is powerful, because it's the stories, it's the people behind the scenes, it's the guys and girls that are doing the job, the culture of the business. And from my perspective, a lot of companies are fearful of doing that, but when they do, and they let the world see what's going on, people connect with them on a deeper level. They see more of it. You create more content. Like us today, sitting here and creating this podcast, the Hoxton Life. It's not just a podcast that goes out on Spotify and Apple and YouTube. It could go out in multiple channels, in multiple ways. We can repurpose it into articles. We can do anything with it. We can use it as a tool to drive new business to us. And I was excited by the fact that you guys were willing to do that, because if anything, I've tried and tested it, haven't I? I was a recruitment consultant for 16 years, right? We're not the most trusted individuals. People kind of like necessary evil. They have a kind of view of recruiters, like maybe they do with financial advisors, and especially on the international side.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So for me, it was like, how can I gain trust with people? And it was build that podcast, let them know that I'm on their side. Do I have a higher purpose? The higher purpose was to create more awareness of the profession, to reduce the advice gap, to offer on a higher purpose financial well-being for everyone, because we need financial planners in place to do that. So once I started to articulate that, and what I was doing was to drive engagement, interest, new people, younger people, diversity, everyone was like, that's a really good idea, Sam. And then the stories for me were the people working in the profession, because no one was doing it. And as I started bringing that to life, my podcast became a top 10. Like, how can my podcast get, within 7 days, the top 10% globally when it comes to download in a micro niche of financial planning? It's mad.
It is mad. And that whole transparency piece is really interesting. We've in our own way, we've done that from the very start, actually, at Hoxton. I've always, I've worked in this industry for 20 years, and it seems to me, across professional services in general, actually, not just financial advice, a lot of companies, in terms of how they portray themselves online, as a consumer, they're pretty faceless. And as a consumer, you're really not sure whether you're dealing with a company that consists of a one-man show or whether it's a company that has 300 individuals. And I think the latter adds a lot of value to the consumer that perhaps is sometimes taken for granted. And we at Hoxton are a company that are full of subject experts, regional experts, technical experts, highly experienced departmental leaders. And it's always been very important to me since day one that the rest of the world knows that this isn't just chrisball.com. We are a sum of many individuals, and he'd be the first person to want that, actually. And people know that when they engage with somebody who's representing Hoxton Capital, they are not just getting access to that one relationship manager, they're getting access to all of these experts that they see frequently online as part of our content, as part of our event strategy, and all the other pieces that we do. So it's important to us that we always try and involve people, showcase people, label people in the output that we put in the public domain, so people can see who they're dealing with behind the scenes.
What I love as
it
well
builds
is
trust massively.
And you've also already tackled two of the biggest areas, right? So you're looking at how can I create leads for a business that are warm. Cold calling isn't allowed, right? And we don't want to be cold calling.
Who does?
Who wants to do that? You're just pissing people off, aren't you, at the end of the day? But also, any kind of financial planner or business developer coming into our business, if we can make their life a bit easier, then they're going to be happier. They're going to want to be in here. Gone are the days of saying, come out to Dubai and we'll fly you out, and they chuck a yellow pages at you and say, get on with it.
Well, that's how I started. Not to Dubai, but I was flown out to Frankfurt in Germany. Was my first steps overseas, and my first steps into financial services, and that was in a business development role. And we're going back, as I say, 20 years when. That predates LinkedIn, basically. It predates a lot of modern tools that people rely on now for their own prospecting. And I was given a telephone and a pen and a piece of paper and said, right, go and find some people to call and get on with it. Great grounding. Really you have to learn quickly in that sort of environment. But I learned very quickly that I didn't think that was how I wanted to build out my career in financial services, and I could see that there was better ways to do that, in my opinion. And in that role, I created my own processes and my own networking opportunities to generate warm leads for myself and the advisor that I was working with, and that really formed the mainstay of what I've taken forward in my career ever since. And my desire to bring as many people inbound into our business, to people who have put their hand up and said they want help and they want to engage with us, rather than being pushed.
I think having a career in sales and then moving into marketing is incredibly powerful. When you get people that go do marketing and have never really experienced the sales cycle, the pain, of making a cold call, each step of the way when you might lose a client or something like that. And I think having that grounded experience and actually being on the cold front. I mean, like I knocked doors for 2 years, right, when I was 18 years old. Knocking on people's doors, commission-based, for 2 years.
Wow. Yeah.
I did window selling. You know, I did insurance selling over the telephone, outbound calling. Yeah. Then I went into customer service for Aviva, and I developed to become a trainer in there. It's like I'd done enough of sales at that point. Yeah. Then I went into recruitment, and 16 years of building a recruitment company. And I mean, I then was like, well, I don't want to do that type of thing for the rest of my life. So for me, it was like, well, what can I do? And for me, it was obvious choice was marketing. So from sales to marketing, I think having both is so powerful, because not only can you empathize with the individual who is the salesperson, right? And I want to make that person's life easier. You know, if someone's running a business, they want more sales. I want to be able to articulate that I understand that, and that what I'm going to do is going to add value to you. And I need you to understand how that works and the process that we go down. But also we understand the client journey. And that's one of the most important things, right? Is that we want to make that client journey as easy and as simple as possible. And when it goes back to trust, you know, what I love about what you're doing there, right? You're putting out adverts, you're doing things on social media, you're putting out targeted job ads. There's a lot of energy, there's a lot of money, there's a lot of skill involved in that. But we live in an age where if you're an international financial planning company and someone sees an advert on Instagram, a lot of people are thinking, is it a scam? Now, the beautiful thing that you're doing at Hoxton is you're accompanying that strategy with some insane PR.
Yeah. The PR has been great for us, and it's as I say earlier on with the profile build. That's something that's come hand in hand with us really doing some wonderful things. That we've had some great collateral to go to our PR team with, and we've had great pickup. You know, with the growth of the business from a numeric standpoint, the people that have come to join the business. You know, we've had some really, really interesting figures from across the industry that have now come to be part of our company. The rebrand, there's been thing after thing for the last 18 to 24 months that has really given us great collateral for having plenty of fuel for that PR space. Yeah. The event work we've been doing as well has had a big part to play in that locally here in the Middle East. Yeah, they've been received very, very well. Again, transparency and trust. Yeah, when people can see there's a company, you're happy to put your people on a stage to be shot at and talk about very technical subjects without script, open to questions. We've done that time and time again. Had excellent feedback, and that's at the moment. That channel is where we get our highest value clients coming to us, is from that person-to-person engagement setting, which is really quite interesting in the modern world. That
is interesting. When everyone's saying that you have to have an online store, you have to have online presence, you have to be doing digital marketing. It is, look, I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all when it comes to marketing. I think sometimes you've got an e-commerce shop or something like that, then there's a process, there's a system and whatnot. But we are a people company, right? If you take away the ability to actually speak to somebody, even in this digital age where we've got the app, look, if the app can do what we want it to do for a segmented population who want that excellent type approach and service and clarity and speed, brilliant, right? Yeah. But often people want a human connection and a human touch. So incorporating that into technology for me is a must. I think it's a must within financial planning. Who wants to hand their money over to somebody when they haven't spoken to somebody?
Absolutely.
It's very, 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 very tricky. Yeah. Right, and to build that trust and to get them to do it is very, very hard. It might be a small amount, chuck it in an ISA, stocks and shares, whatever. You know, what I love about our app, it can put in all their assets and they can look at it all, they can do a wealth flow. It starts the educational process, gets the old things thinking, done at the grey matter, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, now I need some help. Yeah. So if we can reduce that part of the process and get them in front of somebody, I think that's a really, really important thing. So when it comes to marketing, when it comes to explaining our services and the benefits of it, I understand why face-to-face for you maybe it's making a resurgence.
Yeah, and one of the things that constantly intrigues me about the work we do is how things go in cycles. Like messaging channels go in and out of trend, and with person-to-person engagement, face-to-face engagement, we're going full circle on that. I believe the norm is digital interaction and almost removal of humans from that setting. And I think we're at a point now where a premium is almost attached to dealing with an individual face to face. That's seen as sort of a prestige level service almost, and that's where And that's why I think we're seeing that the face-to-face setting is giving us that access to people who perhaps do want that little extra glitter on the service that they're being provided, and they get that from being able to shake someone's hand and sit down with them.
It's an experience.
It's an experience, exactly.
People
yes.
want the experience, and I think the digital world is becoming clogged up with fake news, and you don't quite know what to believe. Algorithms pumping you with things that you, just because you've liked something, all of a sudden you've got 20 things directed at you. People getting a little bit overwhelmed by it, and they don't quite know who to trust.
Yeah,
so it comes back to that trust element.
It does. At the moment, anyway, when you sit in front of somebody, you know that they're real.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Yeah. For the time being.
How long that's going to be the case, who knows? But yeah, that's it. They know they can trust the fact that person actually exists, and that there's still an element of doubt with pieces of content and information on the web as to what you can trust and what you can't.
I think it's also about finding a tribe, right? We all want to find our tribe. We all want to find our community. So if I'm worried and I'm concerned about something, money maybe I'm worried about my future, retirement or whatever, and I'm thinking, tax, that's another one, right? People worry about that a lot. If they can just quickly go around a corner, go to an event with a tax expert, and also know that the people in that room are also people that think the same way that they do. There's a collective power, isn't there, when you enter a room full of people that are experiencing maybe the same pain that you might be experiencing, or are seeking the same knowledge that you are. And it's about getting that so niche and so tribed that 100 people in that room want the same thing. I believe in collective energy. If you have 10, 20, 30 people doing transcendental meditation in a room, I believe there's going to be a higher level of being passed around. I do genuinely believe there is a connection between humans that we can't see. And it's scientifically proven with oxytocin. You look somebody in the eyes, you talk to them, you smile, you give them a hug, you talk about it, you actively listen. People feel good.
Yeah.
They feel good. And I think that's what people are searching for and seeking for, is belonging, connection, and to feel good, and that trust, and to know that somebody's got their back. And when it comes to those networking events and building those out, and I'm so excited about some of the things we've got planned. We won't say it today, but we know we've got things planned. We know we're going to bring people together. And it's about bringing them together into an environment where they're going to get value. And to me, I like to think outside the box. It's not always value of, say, financial planning. It could be us being able to add somebody some value around their health and wellness. Maybe they want to learn about nutrition. Maybe they want to learn about yoga or neuroplasticity or the effects of magic mushrooms. Maybe not out here. But the wellness kind of side to me is very exciting. And tell you why. It's because one of those pillars of wellness is financial. Yeah. When you get that pillar in place, how often do you feel uncomfortable when you're struggling at the end of the month? Or you're thinking a little bit about the future and how am I going to pay my bills? What happens if I die? What's that tax coming up? Because it lives in your head. It makes you feel really uncomfortable. And we're starting to recognize that's having a direct effect. I mean, it kills people.
Yeah.
People worry about money so much that it kills them. And deep down is trauma, isn't it?
It is. And you know what? I mean, I think working within our industry in financial services, it's one of the things I love about it, and it's always engaged me about it, is that it's real life.
Yes.
For everybody who works in our company, everything that we're talking about with our customers is currently or will be part of our lives one day as well. When we started out, primarily our client base at Hoxton was middle-aged British expatriates here in the Middle East, basically me. And therefore, the empathy factor and being able to put yourself in the position of what that consumer is dealing with becomes something that's actually quite easy to connect with. And it's really, I think that's carried through to today, and me helping my team understand the work that we're doing is just bringing it back to basics as well. You're facing these challenges in your life. You know what these people are thinking. You know what doubts they have in their mind and what questions are coming up. Yeah. And that really helps you think your way through what you're creating, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. I think also what I'm really looking forward to is connecting deeper marketing to our advisors and to our business development managers. And a big part of Hoxton Life is to bring them into that world. Like, it's your business as well. You're valued. Please come on and talk about what it is you do. Yeah. and
be proud of it.
Be proud of it. Yeah. And I think collectively, if we can get people being proud of it, not everybody wants to come on a podcast, but if they see their peers who are on it and they're like, wow, like that's actually really cool. Yeah. And like genuinely, there are some superstars in this business. Like the international space has always been tarnished with a really, the wrong brush, right? And I guess for me, when I see opportunity, that's one of the biggest ones for me. A multi-jurisdiction financial planning company that is fee-based, doing things the right way, that has a UK presence, let alone USA, Australia, South Africa, Europe, to me is one of the most marketable things in financial planning right now. Because not only for the advisor who might want to be international, the world's a small place, not everyone wants to live in the UK, but we're seeing more and more and more and more clients, more and more people moving around the world, whether it's for work or whether it's for better tax or whatever, but we are seeing it more and more and more. And so for me, again, it comes back to that, how can I make something look good?
Yeah.
And I can make this company look good so easily.
Yeah, look, I mean, you mentioned there that there are thousands, tens of thousands of people every day taking that journey overseas for career or for personal reasons. And it is not easy for them to get advice that works for them, that's suitable and that's relevant for them. We can offer them that.
Yep.
And you said earlier on, there's in some areas there is a little bit of a stigma attached, or has been in the past, I think, to overseas financial advice. I think that has dissipated a little bit. When I first moved here to the Middle East, it was a really difficult reputation to contend with. I remember walking into a restaurant or a bar in Dubai, and you'd have a conversation with a stranger, tell them that you're working in financial advice, and you might as well just turn around and leave very, very quickly before they reach for something glass. It was that bad.
Yeah.
Such was the landscape, and really there was no controls around how companies are promoting themselves. So a lot of cold calling, a lot of really unscrupulous tactics, and that's under control a little bit better now. But as a company that are doing things the right way, we should have no qualms about going public or really getting on that pedestal and talking about the work we do, which is complex work for complex clients, and we should be proud of being able to deliver on that.
And that was one of my reasons why I joined, because I said that I wanted to talk about it because no one had. I wanted to change the stigma attached to it, and Chris was like, "I want to do that as well."
Yeah,
I want to improve the view and turn international financial planning into a profession. Yeah. And I love that because A, it's a challenge, but B, I think it's massively achievable, because I think there has been a reluctance for a company to stand up and actually do it due to the history of advice on the international stage. Yeah. But to have the confidence like Hoxton have, to go onto the BBC, to go into all these major publications, to comment on these major things that are happening around the world when it comes to money, tax, whatever it might well be, property, all the things that we actually do, I think it's powerful. And I think the more we do that, the more trust we're going to gain. And not only is it going to be good for us, for Hoxton, to help us grow, to help us attract more clients, I think every other financial planning company should be patting Hoxton on the back a little bit to say, fair play, what you're doing is spot on. It's having a direct impact on the profession out here, if we can call it that at the moment. We want to call it profession. And I think there is space for the right firms to collaboratively work together to raise the standards even further.
Yeah, possibly so. I think if I was to label our business with one word, I would say we're authentic. Yeah. And I think that is that's what enables us to do all the things that you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, we are authentic. We aren't pretending to be something that we're not. What the outside world sees is exactly what our business is and how it operates. The people that it sees from the public side, that's exactly how they are. They know what they know. They're extremely intelligent people about their subject matter, and we're not afraid to let people into how we're doing our jobs. And we're talking about that, and people are attracted to that, both from a customer perspective, but also very much so from a career perspective and from a pathway in that regard. I agree with you. I think if we are becoming that company that people look at as a flagship for the industry, then that makes me really happy, because that means we're doing things right, which I know we are, and it means other people are seeing that as well. And that makes me really proud.
The feedback I'm getting just from being here for the last 3 months, and obviously promoting Hoxton as well on my podcast, which I have been doing. The feedback's been phenomenal. The amount of inbound interest I've had from advisors who want to know more and whether or not they want to come out. We've had a few come out here already. We've had individuals come out and actually just explore the opportunity. We've got people wanting to partner with us. I think it was an education piece, and that's what I go back to. I'm like a financial planning career educator, and I'm educating financial planners on what international financial planning is through the people that do the job, and like who's doing that. So for me, it's like we want more of that, and it goes back to what we were saying earlier, right? Finding your tribe, finding the problem, offering a solution, bringing them into our world. And we've got some plans moving forward. I'm not going to shout about it, but we have a plan to go, right, well, what other problems do expats experience? How can we help solve those issues and create content so we're ticking a box when it comes to how to pick a school in Dubai for your kid? Yeah. And then, oh, look, that's a Hoxton Wealth. Who are Hoxton Wealth? Oh, they can help me with my pension when I'm over there as well. Yeah. Fantastic. So for me, that's one of the most exciting things that we can do. And how can we incorporate good, strong content? How can we fix problems? How can we partner with other international companies that are adding value to individuals? How can we connect with those expats that are moving around before they've even moved? Yeah. And for me, it's like capturing them through podcasts, capturing them through social media, capture them through YouTube videos. Because it's funny, I went back over a post I did on LinkedIn, right? And it said, is anybody like really seriously interested in Dubai? I've been watching loads of YouTube videos on Dubai, right? And I'm kind of like, are people actually interested in this? There's only advisors that would want to do it. And I did a poll, and I had loads of advisors that were really, really interested in doing it. Yeah. But that was sowing the seed. Even back then, by me going on there and looking at it and doing some research on Dubai, right? My perception of Dubai was completely different to the reality of what it actually is. If I didn't go onto those channels, would I be here today? If I didn't search, what's it really like living in Dubai? What's tax like? If I didn't ask those questions and connect on social media and ask other people and watch those videos, would I have even come here? It planted a seed for me. And for me, it's about what content can we create that's going to solve problems, help people, and plant seeds as early as we possibly can. Because I think in the back of the mind, there's a romance to wanting to go abroad.
Yeah, there is definitely. Yeah. And I'm really excited about that project as well. And we talked earlier on about the empathy factor that we have with our customers, and that's another way that we will convey that. It's like, look, we understand what you're going through, not just with your financial planning, but everything else that goes around it. You're taking that journey overseas. Immediately, all the balls in life are thrown in the air, and you've got to start juggling pretty quickly. And finance is just a part of that. And I get excited about that. I like talking about it because I've lived it, for 20 years. I've been living abroad for way too long now. And it's a journey. It's a really taxing thing right at the outset because you've got so many unknowns you're thrown at you. And I'm really enjoying the planning stages of getting that podcast coming to life. Yeah,
and I understand that. I'm going through it myself at the moment. You've gone through the journey, a lot longer, but I'm doing it at the moment. And some of the challenges I come up against in my mind is to am I sell my house? Do I rent it out? When I get here, where am I going to live? What is the cost of living? Where am I going to send my daughter to school? Oh my God, I'm starting a brand new job. How does that work? What's the right salary I asked for? It was everything. It was just like, and I'm kind of going through it, and it's just throwing yourself in the deep end, and you just got to get through it. But if there's a way that we can actually just go, look, I'm going to hold your hand for a bit. Yeah. It works, doesn't it?
So I've moved abroad and to other overseas countries 3 times. Yeah. And the hardest transition I made was the one time when I moved back to the UK.
Was it?
That was the hardest. That was the hardest administratively. That was the hardest thing that I had to do, and largely that was because of the absence of my planning when I first left. Right. I didn't know what to do for good or for bad. No one told me, and I only found out 10 years later when I finally was ready to move back to the UK for a little while. All the things that I should have done, so there's nuances that people wouldn't think of naturally, and repatriation planning is that'll be something we'll cover off. As part of that project for sure.
On a final note then, Chris has got an ambition which he announced at the conference, 5 billion by 2027.
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to get it to that figure? What are we going to do?
we're gonna do some killer marketing, that's for sure. More of the same, Sam. More of the same, and some new things as well.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about the work we're doing now that you're in the building with the podcasting and the social media. That is a part of our marketing mix that we were maintaining and present on, but wasn't really an area of high expertise for me or my team. As you mentioned, we were more focused on the direct opportunity generation with campaign building and so forth. Scaling those things that are working very well, which is our advertisements, which is our nurturing through our database and our subscriber list, which is something we utilize very, very well. And look, we'll do it. Yeah. We'll hit that target.
Yeah, 100%. I'm very, very excited by it all. Big thank you for welcoming me into the business and looking forward to integrate into marketing, because for me, it's exciting being around innovative individuals that are collaborators, because that's what I am. And for the greater good, I want to do good for everybody. And I get that vibe with you, your team, everything you've built so far. So thanks for welcoming me in. I'm really looking forward to working with you further. And I think we're going to do some absolutely killer marketing over the next few years.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me in here today, Sam.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks for sharing your Hoxton life.
Cheers.
Ta.